y'all. How you perking? I hope you're perking good. So, we are here to do part 2 of the y'all ask him questions. As Bodhi starts to whine his grievances for something. Please not now, son. Here, chew this toy. Do you have everything you need? Do you have everything you need, son?
Just let him whine.
But, so, part 2 of he answers y'all's questions. Because that's something that y'all were wanting to do, and we ran out of time the first one, and the phone just stopped recording. So, there's that. Here we have the second set of questions. We'll get through as many as we can get through in a reasonable amount of time, but we may not get through all of them. And if we missed your question, then nothing personal on it. We're just trying to get through as many as we can. Danny T. How did you both have the discussion about B's past relationship and how it relates to your relationship? How did B feel comfortable or know it was time to share it? And how did you feel initially? Do you have a brief way of answering that? So just so we can get through these, we might have to be try to be quick about answering.
Yes. And I remember we talk about both of our past relationships, but going back to yours, we did talk a lot about that at the beginning, not just 1 or 2 times, more times. And we just got to learn about the stuff that we didn't like, from our past, the stuff that had taught us something that we can use to help us in our current relationship, and to see, those were things that, might be useful. And some of the stuff that we were just agreeing to, okay, that's stuff that must stay in the past, but I'm just letting you know, this is something that really either triggered me, or I didn't like, or I don't want to see, in the future. So we did talk about it enough.
Yeah. And things still come up from time to time.
Yeah.
Because I have somewhat of a traumatic relationship past, and so we end up having to pause and talk about a lot of things because I am an anxious, triggered mess a lot of times. If you don't even have to do anything for me to get like that.
A cute mess. Yeah, just like her. Yeah, go back to sleep.
So, second part of Danny's question. Can y'all not, with the growls, be sweet to each other?
Scooter, you gotta set your dominance. Keep fighting.
No, buddy, what? How was your first holidays with each other's families and blending cultural traditions? Technically, we haven't had holidays with each other's families, technically, because his family is still, they've been in Mexico the whole time, and with all this COVID stuff, I haven't been able to go hang out and visit with them, and a lot of his family doesn't speak English, and my Spanish is not good at all.
You got a little taste of that when we were at the restaurant.
Yeah, when I went to his sister's graduation, and he said, "No worries, all my family speaks English." And I'm like, okay, good, because my Spanish is not as strong as I would like for it to be. And I get there, they didn't really speak English, and I struggle bus severely with Spanish. And so I was like, I felt the most inadequate than I have ever felt in my entire life, and the most lost and confused and disoriented than I've ever felt in my entire life. And everyone was so sweet, and they were giving me hugs, and they were, so kind and stuff like that. You can show love and affection and kindness and all of that without speaking the same language, but it was a significant barrier. And so there were some things that they could say and I would understand, but I couldn't respond back to them. So then I would respond to him in English, and he would tell them in Spanish. And we would just kind of do that triangulating, and that's kind of how we had to do for them. So that's the closest thing to us being together for the holidays, other than the fact that for holidays over here, you've come to my family's house.
I've been to your parents' house, and I've liked all the food and how I've been treated and all that. And I've tried a lot of new food that I haven't tried before. Some food that I've tried before, but just cooked in a different way that I haven't tried. But
Southern fixings.
so I've liked all those things. So yeah, I've experienced that here. She just had a little taste, so just imagine that, but with more people, everybody talking fast.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Because then I have no chance in hell of being able to understand people, because I need them to be slow and clear for me to be able to pick up on all of the Spanish. I can hear it the best, and then write it the second best, and speak it the last, the worst. So I have a lot of work to do on that. But in terms of blending cultural traditions, we do blend some things, like you and I make tamales and stuff for us to have.
The food, it's going to be probably the strongest thing that we've
swapped.
blended, and we combine some of that stuff, and we cook a lot of that stuff here at the house instead of, we like going to some restaurants and stuff like that, or eating out.
But you can't get authentic Mexican at restaurants here in South Carolina like you can in his kitchen.
Yeah, so now that she's tried both of those things, she's like, well, I didn't know it was that different than from what you can get, for takeout, any restaurant here. So a lot of the times we prefer that. And
I definitely prefer you cooking Mexican food than any of the Mexican food that we have in restaurants around here.
And the other thing, top of my head real quick, the stuff for after Halloween, which is the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, and stuff like that you haven't done an altar, but I'll show you what you can do, and which type of flowers, and how you do the cross, and the walkway or path, so they can come and eat whatever they liked, people who have passed away that day. And the Easter thing about the eggs, that putting confetti inside, hiding them, and then letting the kids just smash them on top of, no matter if it's the adult that are just standing there or between the kids just running.
Yeah.
That's
been a big thing. Two Easters ago, he got specifically my niece and my nephew into that, and they've loved it. Of course, in the U.S. we do Easter egg hunts and stuff like that, but for them, they do an added layer. It's not just regular Easter egg hunts. Like, you put confetti in the egg, and then you can smash it on people after you find all the eggs and have them in your basket. You can throw them at people and they smash and confetti goes, or you can smash them on people. And we've done some, like they'll do over there, where you can put flour in the egg and smash it. And
your mom got the one that had flour, and she was with the camera.
Mama was the one with the camera with a nice Nikon, and she was trying to take family pictures of it, and she got smashed in the head with an egg, and it happened to be one of the ones with flour in it. We didn't know, because they were all mixed in together.
That's the thing. You just mix them up so you don't know.
And she was doing like this and shaking flour out of her hair for all day.
Loved
the kids flipped out. They lost their shit over that. It was funny. It was good. So they look forward to that every year. So we do a lot of Mexican traditions at Easter the most, in terms of holidays that we do the most. And then every day,
which we got to start collecting now in January, because it goes by real fast.
We got to collect the eggs so we can do that. But all right, let's see. I'm just making sure we've already gone through this. I know Natasha says, does he like tarot readings, and does he have some spirituality? And if yes, what is it? We did talk about that in the first video, about how he does like tarot readings, and he does have spirituality, but you don't really have a name to your spirituality. It's just...
Well, I was just pretty much raised, as a Catholic, I was in my elementary was in a Catholic school, where you would have, over there we have a mass every week. And I was pretty much raised by that. You know, I'm not saying I'm not that right now, but I don't go to church every Sunday. You know, I still believe in God and all that, but along the way I started, you know, just learning a little bit from different, you know, religions. I'm not saying that I'm completely immersed into them, but, you know, I like to learn from different cultures and just, you know, what I like it, I try to absorb it and just apply it in, you know, life. And spirituality in general, it doesn't matter where it comes from or what country or culture, if it's something that I like, I try to, you know, read from it and learn from it. But yes, I'm Catholic.
Yeah. It's funny. I never consider you Catholic.
I mean, because
I know you were raised that way. But
yeah, I mean, that's how I was raised my whole life.
I think of you as being like open, spiritual, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to anything, but if I have to go back, you know, how I was raised,
yeah,
that, I mean, my parents and
if it's
everybody.
Like pick a religion, then it's
my
like,
parents
okay.
and my family and all that. I mean, they're all Catholic. Most of my family.
Alrighty. Faith T. I'm curious about what UPS drivers are going through right now and what can I do to help make it easier for them to do their jobs?
Well, the storm just ended. Chaos just ended.
Peak season.
Peak season just ended. So
of everybody buying Christmas presents and wanting their Christmas stuff shipped to families.
I mean, we like to do that. We enjoy that, even if it's heavy, because once you get to the house, whether it's an adult, you know, man, woman, or a child, or what, or you know, a grandma or something, once they see the stuff that they ordered, you know, they get really excited, or they know it's the, you know, a gift that they're gonna give somebody else, so they get really excited that they finally get it. So, I mean, I like that. A lot of the people that I work with love that too. I mean, a lot of the stuff that people do that I've seen other houses is they leave outside, you know, Gatorades or snacks, you know, chips, cookies, stuff like that, that we sometimes, you know, on a long day where we do stop and eat lunch, you know, but sometimes it's nice if, you know, you bump into that and the people get very excited. And when they see you getting their stuff, and they also get excited when they see that you're getting the Oreos or whatever they have in there. So
that lady was like, yay, he's taking something.
She got so excited when I grabbed one, and she was like, come on, take two. I'm like, fine. So I took, you know, a big bag of chocolate that she had there. So, I mean, we appreciate the people ordering all that stuff, because, I mean, you know, that's what makes the whole thing work. But it didn't felt as heavy as other years this year, because I think there was more people, more seasonal helpers and people, you know, helping, you know, everybody. So it went by not as chaotic as we thought it was going to be, even though it's heavy.
One thing that people can do to help y'all is to not have dogs that'll chase after you.
Some houses, some dogs are very sweet. Some dogs are very nice, you know, they go run up to you and you can pet them. But
there are certain people that know their dog is the type to be like, rah, 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 and like want to go to the death for somebody, and that's not good for y'all. Like have them some kind of a way where they can't maul your UPS driver.
They behave when the owners are there, but sometimes I understand, you know, people have to go to work and they can't be at home. But sometimes, you know, they know between Wednesday or Thursday, you know, you might get a package. Sometimes we do want to leave it right at the door, but, you know, you can't get in there, because if you leave the package there, sometimes, I mean, it has happened where you leave the package there and it's a bag, because it has clothes, and the dog just tears everything, because he's loose and stuff like that. So, where we can't go all the way there, because there are some, I'm going to say just some, dogs that do chase you and bite you. Because I know plenty of coworkers that have got.
It's like, and that's the thing. As a good
dogs.
pet parent, you know how your dog behaves around strangers, and you know if your dog is the type to try to bite, that you have to, as a pet parent, secure them in some sort of a way so that people can deliver packages and not get bit.
But most of the dogs, they're pretty nice. I've sent you some pictures and videos of dogs, and most of them are very nice. And the people that, when they're there, if they see you and see that their dog is misbehaving, the first thing they do is they call them inside the house, and they say, I'm sorry about this, and they help you out. So.
But that one good thing people can do to make your jobs easier is be a good pet parent. Another thing to make your job easier is to have numbers for your house on your house or your mailbox or something. Have your residence marked.
During the day, it's not a big problem. Now that it's dark at 5, sometimes, you have the GPS and basically tells you where it's at, but yeah, some houses you just have to.
He comes home sometimes and he's like,
to guess.
They sent me out to the fucking country today, and there's these mailboxes here that say all of them are over this way, but then you go down this road and none of these are marked, and you're like, does this belong to your house? Is it your house? To your house?
Because
to your house?
there are some driveways like that on dirt roads where you see 6 mailboxes stacked all together in just one trail, one dirt road. And as you're going through there, you see all the houses, but they don't have the numbers. So you have to guess, knock, or ask which one of the 6 houses that are in the front is that one. So that's the only thing that sometimes you're like, well, it's just going to take more time. But
so that's something you can do to help UPS drivers. Make sure your residences are marked.
They don't have to be huge numbers, just have some numbers.
Somewhere they can see. Adela Guelfo says, you mentioned once he is very spiritual. Does he also possess gifts? Which ones? And does he use/train them? And then
saluditos, which means saluditos.
Yeah. So
I don't want to think, or I don't want to say that I have any type of gifts. What I do pay a lot of attention in me, and that I think every human being has that ability too, is that I'm always very aware of my 5 senses to try to use them as most as I can. And then the chakra stuff, I try to keep them all balanced and know which one is for, even if I can't remember everything on the top of my head. When I want to read about one of those, I read it again and try to use that on any live situation, whether it's to make a decision, to stay focused, to stay relaxed, to try to be one with everything and stuff like that, to just make life easier instead of being worried and about how everything happens and why did this happen to me and stuff like that. So one of the things that I use a lot for that is try to pay a lot of attention to my intuition, which is one of the things that, again, I don't want to say it's my gift because I think everybody has that, but I use that a lot on a daily basis in a lot of stuff, just every day. So if I have to pick something, it would be how I use my intuition.
And I would agree with that. I'd say that between him just being him, but also the added bonus of being a Scorpio, he's like very perceptive. And like, I'm the type that I really give the benefit of the doubt on everything, and not that he doesn't, but that I can be overly like, oh, but they didn't mean this, or oh, but they this, that. And he'll be like, they fucking knew. They knew what they were doing. They knew what this shit was. And he can call people out on stuff so fast. And I'll be like, oh, no, that's harsh. And then later it'll come out he was right. And I'll be like, damn.
That's the one thing. Like, it's very easy for me to just rate people at first impression.
I seem to be able to see people's potential super, super fast, and I can work with that. And you seem to see people's what they're hiding.
Yeah,
super, super
whatever
fast.
they are, like whatever they present to you. Like, okay, this is me, but I can see, okay, the whole thing, even if they're not showing it right at that moment. It's like I can see that easily most of the times.
Yeah, that's a good way to answer that, I think. So, similar to that from KGB, is it intimidating to be in a relationship with someone intuitive? Can you still surprise me, or do I see it or feel it coming? So that's the first part of that question.
So I'm gonna have to ask you that. Have I surprised you with some stuff that I've done, whether it's, something good, that like, oh, I wasn't expecting this, or, or do you always guess like, oh, I knew he was going to do this?
I pretty much always know you're up to something, but I don't necessarily know exactly what you've done. I just know you're up to something. I don't necessarily know that I would say that's me being psychic. I think most people in long-term relationships can kind of sense those things about each other, and they know when something's up or whatever.
Especially when it's like close to a date, like a birthday, an anniversary, Christmas, or stuff like that.
Yeah, I know you're going to do multiple gifts when I tell you stop, and
I can't help it.
What do you mean you can't help it? If you had a gimp leg, you couldn't help it. But you buy multiple presents when I say don't. You can't help that.
We're going to have to deal with that, because that's how it's going to be. So
Okay.
I can't help it.
Okay, I'll just have to deal. Okay, let's see. We already answered from the same person. We've already answered about how often the cards come out for context in personal matters, and not so much as the answer to that. What do you do to cheer me up in tough times?
It depends, because half of the times I can tell, going back to the intuitive stuff, I can tell when she really needs, even if she wants, something to cheer her up, I can tell.
Is he snoring over here?
If she needs that, and it might be something to just like, right, just get dressed, get out of the house, drive somewhere, let's go eat somewhere, let's go walk into the stores, buy something, whatever it is, or watch something that I know it's going to be uplifting, that has some comedy, or just put the speaker on and put whatever type of music, or listen to whatever she wants to hear. On the cases that I know that will make her feel better. But the other half of the times, even if it might seem like that's what it's needed, I know her now good enough to not do that, because even if you try so hard with all that stuff, it's just gonna make her still not feel good, and just make her feel bad that even with that good stuff, she can't feel good.
Because this is when he's learned the difference between, am I just having a bad day, or there was a bad thing that happened that brought me down, versus my cycles of anxiety and depression, like actual mental illness cycles. And he realizes you can't just cheer me up when I'm in one of those episodes, that even with all the best and wonderful things happening around me, I can still feel anxious and depressed and screwed up, and nothing, and then I feel more defective, like, wow, I have everything and yet I can't feel good. I must be a piece of shit. And then that furthers the cycles of shame and stuff, makes it worse. So he's learned that when I'm in what I call my deep dives, when I'm in a deep dive, he knows that it's different. The protocol is different.
Those times, instead of doing that, it's just, sometimes talking with her, sometimes don't say nothing. I know I don't have to say anything other than listen to her and be close to her. And sometimes we don't even talk. Sometimes we just get close and stay together. Sometimes it's kind of rough, so even me being close, like I know she needs some type of space, but she still wants me to be there with her. So we just hang out in the same room, even if we are not that close. And just, with might be minutes, it might be a couple of hours. Once she starts getting out of that, then we can start doing something that might cheer her up. So it's kind of tricky sometimes, but the first things that I mentioned are the things that we do once, we want to cheer each other up.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that his biggest, strengths in that is unconditional presence and unconditional compassion, to where it's like, if I am in my kind of disordered funk, is what I'll sometimes call it, for myself personally, even when I'm in some of those deep dives, sometimes I will be kind of abrasive. Like, I might say snappy things that I wish I, wouldn't be like that, but it happens. And sometimes I'm really I withdraw and I just can't connect, and I can't, whatever. I'm just very withdrawn and into my own. And he knows how to be there without being too much there. I know some of y'all are gonna get it. Some people may not get it if they haven't been through it, but there are gonna be people that get it. Just knowing that he's in the room and I'm not alone, and I have my person there, but that I'm not being fucked with. That helps sometimes. And sometimes just doing what we call family cuddles, where it's just us 5 here on the couch in blankets, and we just watch some crap on Netflix or something, family cuddles, to try to kind of help with things. But yeah, there's, I would say that he's very patient and calm with this stuff, and he doesn't take things personally, and he doesn't get bent out of shape, and he doesn't lash out back or dish anything back to me or all of that. It's like he gets it, so he doesn't do that. I've never had that before from anybody. So I didn't know that existed. And it trains me to be a better person myself, because then I'm like, well, I need to be better at being patient and being more unconditional with this stuff. And, I could be better in that respects too. And so then I try to be better. So look at you go.
Okay, thank you.
Next one is from Pooter's mom. And she's one from back in the
Scooter.
Back in the day, whenever I used to do Facebook still, she was an OG from there. So she's good people. But where do you see yourself in 3 years?
In 3 years, well, based on how our last 3 years from now, going back, and not only that, the 3 years prior to that, all the stuff that has happened to both of us in the last 6 years. I don't want to think of something, and then, because, you plan for stuff, and then sometimes it goes how you expect it, sometimes you might get something even better. So I don't...
Be ever optimist.
Because, things might get worse, but sometimes, because it might happen, but,
Everything goes to shit.
The good thing is when you have something planned, you expect something, and I got something even better. That's something, of course, with all of us together. And
yeah, there's 2 puppies under here.
Yeah, we have 3 puppies right here.
One is here and one is here. They're under the covers, if you know Chihuahuas.
The other one's right there.
Yeah.
So I just, instead of being that specific, I just hope that, you know, whatever crosses my mind in the next couple of months or year, I hope that in 3 years I can achieve that, and if not, get something better that I didn't even had in mind. I hope that happens.
Vague answer, but answer nonetheless.
Because that's why I said what has happened in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to be specific, then I try not to do that in general, because then, you know, you might get disappointed. I know, you know, if you're too specific and you want this and you want that, and if it doesn't happen, it has happened to me in the past, it's hard to deal with stuff like that. So now I try to just, it's not that I don't have goals or stuff like that, and I try not to talk about them a lot, because that's when you know that. And you're like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you? I'm like, I just don't. I mean, I have stuff in my mind, and once I see that happening, or once I get that, then I'm like, well, 2 years ago, I had this in mind, and now it happened and stuff like that. So that's just how I am.
That's your process.
Yes, that's my thought process.
So equally deep questions. Amy Muscarello, she has 2 kitties. So she asks, I'll do one at a time because of that. In what ways do you guys see things differently? What would you say?
Well, just like how I answered the last question, on a lot of the stuff that she's more organized than I am. She's more practical, and a lot of the stuff that we think also different is she's like, well, I have to see it on paper. I have to see it, and I have to, you know, and I'm like, yeah, but sometimes you have to take that leap of faith and just move forward, even if you don't see that, because then, you know, you put one foot, you know, in front of the other, and that might make, you know, things happen sometimes. So I'm more on, you know, the timing and being punctual and stuff like that. When it's work stuff,
He functions on Mexican time.
Which is like, yeah, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'll be there in 30 minutes, and you know,
he might show up that day.
You have not even gotten into the shower and changed, and you get there an hour later and stuff like that.
I cannot stand that.
Which I don't.
I'm like, don't tell me a time you're gonna be wherever unless you're gonna be wherever at that time. Otherwise, don't even tell me a fucking time.
I don't do that at work stuff and all stuff like that. And outside of that, you know, I'll try to be more relaxed with anything that happened, you know, take it as it comes, you know, and just, you know, be there when you're there and stuff like that. So that's one of the main things.
But we joke and call it Mexican time because he talks about, like, whenever I'm like, but my parents said to be at their house at 2. The birthday party starts at 2. He's like, well, in Mexico, if someone says the party starts at 2 and you show up at 2, they're going to look at you
rude.
Like you're rude.
That's rude, because if they want people to get there at 5 or 6, on the invitations you put the party starts at 4. So people know, don't show up at 4, because that's rude. Show up at 5 or 6.
And I'm sitting here like, why the fuck would you do that? Just tell people what time you want to be there and be there at that time. And if I say the party's at 2, then here I've gotten to the point where I tell them we need to leave the house by, you know, 1:30, knowing that we're not supposed to be somewhere until 2:30. That's a 10-minute drive from here. And I'll tell them that just so I can build in a buffer.
And another thing which is, like, we do very different. I mean, it's a personal thing, but it's also more cultural, which is the breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all that. It's like we have
confused.
We have dinner.
It's like first breakfast, second breakfast, lunch, pre-dinner, dinner, but real dinner right before someone goes to sleep. Like he wants to start real dinner at 10.
Dinner is at 9 or 10.
9 or 10 to dinner.
9 or 10.
If I have to wait till 9 or 10 for dinner, I'll pass out.
I'll
pass out.
That's why there's like some type of lunch between lunch, which lunch for us We don't eat lunch at noon. We eat lunch from 2 to 4. Sometimes we eat lunch at 1, yeah, but after 2, because then it feels weird, you know, because we don't eat dinner at 6 or 7. It's later, so. And then somewhere in between the dinner and our lunch, which is 2 or 3, sometimes 4, at 6 or 7, you have like a snack, you know, something you eat, some
Go
type
ahead
of.
and name off the names of all your breakfasts and lunches and dinners.
Yeah, you have desayuno, which is the light breakfast, you know, early in the morning. And then you have almuerzo, which is like around noon, which is like a big breakfast. And then you have la comida, which is lunch. And then you have merienda, which is like a small snack. And then la cena. And then you have dinner, supper.
I mean, it makes sense to eat lots of smaller meals
And
frequently throughout the day. I'm all for that. I technically like to do that rather than eating like 2 big things or whatever. So it's not that. It's just like the eating frequently thing doesn't bother me at all and isn't weird for me at all. That's my style. But the calling something lunch at 4 o'clock. I'm like, do not call that lunch at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, because.
And then saying, I'm going to eat this for my dinner. And I know that he's not going to cook. He's not going to start cooking until 9:30 at night. And I'm like, the hell? So those, the times and calling things lunch when it's dinner and calling and calling dinner 9:30, the times, those are the things that fuck me up.
And sometimes normal. We just eat 3 times a day. But it's still breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but the times are different. I'm not gonna, if it's 7 or 8 in the morning, I don't feel that hungry, so I might just eat some fruit or something, like a little snack, and then right before noon, then it's like breakfast. But I don't eat lunch right away at 1. It has to pass some time, and then dinner, it can't be before 7, or just can't. It has to be after 8. It has to.
I'll pass out.
It has to. So
I will croak.
That's another thing.
I will keel over.
We do different.
The creek will rise.
But then, if she ate something at 6, and I'm cooking at 9, and it's Mexican food.
Oh, that's it.
Hey. And she likes it, she'll eat with me.
But that's not dinner. That's, for me, that's late night binge, because that's what that is for me. Yeah. That's like I want, 4 cheese empanadas at 10 o'clock because I have disordered eating. That's what that is. But
that's one thing that, when we first started dating, we were like, this is very different.
I'm like, who thing that eats we do right before they sleep like that? Like, Dave. If you watched the birthday thing, video of the dogs, you'll understand. But anywho, she has deep questions here. Oh, so her other deep question, Amy says, what does he see in you that you don't see in yourself?
I mean, there were a couple of things, but if I have to pick one, it was to tell you that you are stronger than what you think you are, both emotionally, mentally, and physically. You are stronger than what you think you are. And in some cases, you feel like, this is too much, and I can't do this, or I need a break, or this and that. And, sometimes our mind tricks us into that, and I can't do this, and I can't do this. But I've seen in you a lot of stuff that we've talked about, and from what we met and on, stuff that you've overcome and been through. And I told her that, like, she's a lot stronger than she thinks she is. That's one of the things that I remembered, and that we talk about in that video. And
interesting.
Interesting.
What would you tell your younger self about me?
Like how in some previous questions, how about we plan for some stuff, and sometimes we get something better than we had planned, something better than we have thought. So that's like, I would have told my younger self, okay, you have all this planned, but you could get something better. You could get a girl that's even prettier than what you've thought of. So that's what I would tell my younger self.
I feel bad for your younger self.
Well, don't.
Because you lied.
Yeah,
you lied to him.
I'm being honest.
Pobrecito.
That's what I would tell my younger
Little
self.
baby Julio. Bless him. It's sweet. And she has one more deep question here. What has being with me taught you about yourself? It's interesting.
Well, based on...
That you're patient as fuck dealing with my ass.
She's told me that I'm very, very patient. And I don't know if that fits that question, but what this question made me think of, other than... Okay. Is that some of the stuff that I feel that in my life I kind of lack of sometimes, it's the stuff that we talked about, how we were very different and how to be, she's making fun of me. How to be more organized and how to plan better. Those are two things that I see in her. And even if I have some of that, she has helped me with that stuff. You know why you're gonna know why we're laughing, because you'll hear this later. That was a good one. That was a good one. So they're gonna hear very clearly.
How am I gonna edit this?
You're just gonna have to leave it like that so they can hear this, because this is priceless.
I hope my microphone's picking it up.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
If it's working right. Well, that's nice. So, taught you about being organized and practical.
And to plan better.
All right, y'all. That's all we're gonna do today. We're gonna wrap this up, tie a bow around it, and upload it. I hope y'all have had good holidays. I think we posted this probably before Thanksgiving, the first one, somewhere around that time. And so now Christmas is already gone by, New Year's is coming up, all of these holidays and stuff. So hope y'all have had a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and that your new year goes well. And I'm hoping to have this posted before I post the December predictions video, but that should be coming. Hopefully I'll have this posted before December predictions video.
You gotta say bye.
Are you gonna say bye?
Say bye.
Ipe, you gonna say bye-bye?
Because you're the cutest.
A parrot should never licks. ASMR licks. Tell everyone bye. Say love you, mean it. Love you, mean it. Love you, mean it. Bye, y'all. These babies are my pride and joy.
I knew she was gonna do one like that after you said that.